What's your solution then, Miss Parrish, that we just give up?
The women respond to a definite system. If you start experimenting with them, they don't know where they are.
Yes, well, I don't think this is getting us anywhere. Would you like to develop what you were saying, Miss Harker?
Well, like I said, if we could bring in more light, give the whole place a facelift, well, the effect on the women would be tremendous.
You can redecorate as much as you like, Miss Harker, but a prison will still be a prison.
Probably. Still, it's along the lines that I've been thinking.
Have you reached any conclusions, Governor?
Nothing definite. Seems to me that our main problem is the continual one of overcrowding. The women have to spend far too much time locked up in their cells.
Well, I agree, madam, but there's nowhere else to put them.
Exactly. That's why so many of them become lonely and bitter. Now, I've noticed a marked difference in attitude in North Wing, Miss Harker's wing, where the first floor has at last been filled in.
Well, that's only because it was considered structurally safer.
Well, whatever the reason, fate or crumbling bricks, it may have given us the solution. In North Wing, the women now have space to move about with a certain amount of freedom.
Well, I certainly shouldn't like it if each floor on my wing was filled in.
Yes, well, I realise that the present routine will have to be altered, but I don't know what the objections are to that.
Well, facts speak for themselves, madam. Already at North Wing, it's doubled the work of the prison officers.
Yes, that's true.
Now, in the other wings, the women are split up into smaller units, 15 or 20 to each gallery. They're much more easily controlled.
I see.
At the moment, I can look up and see everything that's happening. I know at once where my officers or myself are needed.
Yes.
I agree. I mean, I'd never have a moment's peace if I had to keep moving from floor to floor, locking and unlocking doors.
Well, the answer to that would be to increase the number of assistant governors, so that each one would be responsible for a smaller unit.
Well, we have to decide what is best for the women in our charge. Given the chance to do something about this overcrowding, surely we should consider it very carefully. Filling in the floors would give us the one essential, space. Removing the catwalks and the wire mesh will go a long way to remove the impression of being in a cage. I mean, how can we expect women to develop as human beings if the conditions in which they live can cause nothing but bitterness and despair?
Perhaps, yes, I agree.
I'm sure we can all see the advantages from the prisoner's point of view, madam, but I do think we ought to wait and see the results in North Wing before talking about long-term solutions.
But don't you
Yes,
realise,
well, I told her I'm only going into the possibilities at the moment. I have made no decisions yet. Thank you for your suggestions. I'll consider them all very carefully.
At least they understand exactly what you want, don't they?
Yeah. Well,
Which is the main thing.
well, thank you very much. I'll take that one over there. And that's how we left it. You should have seen their faces.
I suppose the armadillo thinks she's won this round.
You mustn't, Bill. I'll call her that one of these days.
Filling in those floors sounds like a good idea. Have you let yourself be talked out of it?
Not entirely, but I don't want to rush things. I'll wait and see. What sort of a day have you had?
Frustrating.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, that Belgium business still isn't settled. The problem's quite simple, really, but it keeps being thrown back at me.
Yes, some problems just won't go away.
I recommended against buying the factory. That extension scaffolding they produce is of limited use and it's too damned expensive. Someone on the board obviously thinks otherwise. If only they'd look at it practically for once. What the hell?
I'm sorry.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
No, what were you saying?
You don't give a damn about Belgian factories or extension scaffolding. Forget it.
I'm sorry, darling.
You know, my love, you really mustn't keep saying that.
I know.
We both had a pretty rough day. Let's just relax.
I wish I could.
Let's talk about it. Oh, come on.
Well, it's the same old thing. I know what I want to do, but it won't work unless I get full support from the staff because they believe in me, not just because I'm the governor.
Some of them being obstructive.
Oh, it's inevitable, not just the older ones. Every group in a prison has its own ideas of how things should be done. So much could be achieved if we really worked together.
It isn't always easy. Speaking as an engineer, I know it often takes time to get all the parts to fit together. You mustn't be impatient, darling.
Yes, I must try and see things more from their point of view. I suppose it's hard for them to realise they're only part of the whole process.
Well, sounds like common sense.
Well, whatever it is, that's the job. I'm responsible for the process. Women on remand, first offenders, long sentences, parole, welfare, aftercare. Not just numbers. They all have to be treated and helped as individuals.
If I know you, it's the individuals that really matter to you.
Well, there are a couple I really think I understand. And one I believe I've really helped. That's what makes it worthwhile.
Hello, Chief.
Everything all right?
They've all settled down, except for 14.
Peggy Abbott, what's wrong?
I'm not sure.
Did you speak to her?
No, madam.
Why not?
She was only crying. Sometimes it's better to let them get it over.
How was she this morning?
A little quiet, subdued.
What could have caused it?
Possibly some of the others have been getting at her.
I've seen no sign of it.
You stole it! I never
What's going on here? Stop that! Stop it!
What's happening?
Mrs. Weeks, madam.
Stealing from me again. My picture, she took it.
Yours, Nora, give it me.
All right, that's enough. Move along. The show's over. Break it up.
Where did you get that?
She came in, tore it off the wall, stole it.
I never, madam. Nora said I could have it.
Did you?
Why? Why did you?
She wanted to, didn't you?
I wanted to give something to Lily. She's my friend.
Well, it was your right to do so. It was a nice gesture.
She just tore it off the wall.
But perhaps you'll make another picture for Mrs. Weeks, will you, Nora? Fine. No report. Just let Mrs. Weeks rest for a while.
All right, madam, I'll see to that.
I'm sorry, madam. It was all a misunderstanding, but do you think Nora could share with me instead of with old Georgie? You see what it's like.
That's not for me to say. You must ask Miss Harker.
Well, I don't mind them sharing a cell.
I'm strongly against it.
Why, Mrs. Armitage?
I don't know, madam, but there's something. Not only would I not let them share, but I'd move that girl, Nora, to another wing. I'd split them up as much as possible.
Oh, that's quite unnecessary.
I don't think they should share. But I think we must wait and see before we transfer her.
Did you hear me? You're not going to buy pens and papers and sweets for your pay this week. You're going to buy cigarettes.
I don't smoke.
Who do you think they're for? You get them and you give them to me. Or I'll tell my friend, Mrs. Boswell, that you're a nasty little troublemaker.
Oh, no, Lily. I'll do anything.
Just do what you're told, all right?
You're both meant to be working. And you. Don't let me catch you skiving again.
Yes, Chief.
Shut up. Yes, I'm sorry about Peggy. She was working out so well.
What's the matter with her?
No concentration. If I leave her, she doesn't do anything.
How's she with the children?
Very good when I tell her to do something. The rest of the time, she just looks at them.
Yes. Well, thank you, sister. I think I know what the trouble is. Being with other children and learning how to look after them was all right for a time, but not anymore. It's no substitute for her own children.
Of course not. I've been to see the uncle again. He won't change his mind.
Did you tell him what I said?
Yes, I told him. But he won't bring them to see her. He won't even come himself.
Doesn't he realize how much it hurts her? How much harm he could cause?
I just couldn't make him see it.
Perhaps someone else could.
I won't buy cigarettes for you.
What do you mean?